Hello and a very warm welcome to the Nottingham Hockey Centre and to our live coverage on BTV, Apple TV, YouTube and the Beeston Hockey Club website of this Men's National League game between Beeston and visiting Sevenoaks. Well, it's 30 years since the Men's National League got underway. The Pound Stretcher League, as it was known in those days, started back in 1988 on a high with Great Britain men recently back from the Olympic gold from Seoul. It also marks 30 years since I first made my commentary debut when covering Southgate with 5 Olympians in their squad, travelling down to Ottery St Mary's to play Iska. Never for a moment did I think that particular adventure would still be going some 30 years later. And I'm very fortunate to have been allowed into your hockey homes and hockey lives over all of those years. And I was excited to be involved in working as a freelance with this BTV project here. Just as excited I was working with Television Southwest back all those years ago. Beeston's latest innovation continues to set new standards in the game. So Sevenoaks will be a stern test for the Bees today though on the field, and we can expect another very competitive game, just like yesterday's Women's League game, which saw a young Bees ladies lose a 2-goal half-time lead to concede an equaliser right on the very final whistle. Well, we get underway here at about 1:55 with the team lineups and walkouts ahead of the 2 o'clock start. But ahead of that even, let's enjoy some of the atmosphere and reaction from yesterday's ladies' game.
We're with the team at the end of the game, 2-2 draw. Carrie Hanks, player of the match, you're on your debut, and Sophie Robinson as well. Firstly, Carrie, a goal on your debut, and what was it like at the end there? It was so close to 3 points.
Yeah, it was a really great game. We as the game went on, we started to settle in a bit more, and our focus at the end was just to keep a strong front. And you know, it's an unfortunate way that the game ended for us, but we are very happy with our performance overall.
So, a point on debut in the Premier League, is that what you're expecting, or do you think you've got those 3 points in the bag?
Well, we all just spoke as a team there. You know, if someone had said to us, first game, draw 2-2, you got a point on the board, we would have taken it. And I think as this is our first time back into the Premier League, yeah, we're very happy with that. Obviously, the first half was a lot better than the second half, and wish we could have taken away 3 points. But Birmingham are a very experienced side, has some really talented players. But overall, yeah, we're happy with it.
Sophie, one game in, what's the difference between the Conference and the Premier Division?
The pace, the physicality, the willingness to get ahead. Yeah, it is totally different, and you really did feel that when you were playing on the pitch today. Yeah.
And tomorrow, next weekend, it's going to be the double header. You're looking forward to that. You're going to get the first 3 points on the board, do you think?
Absolutely, we're going to work for it.
Yeah, fingers crossed. East Grinstead are a very good side. You know, they've got again some very talented players, Sophie Bray and Laura Unsworth. But you know, we'll go into it like we have today, and hopefully, fingers crossed, come out with 3 points.
Best of luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So thanks to Andy Day there for that interview after the game. And nice to see the gentleman he is allowing the ladies to shelter underneath the umbrella. Much brighter conditions here at the Nottingham Hockey Centre today, and players out there warming up under 20 minutes or so before the start of the game. And before that, we're going to listen to Kellen Griffiths, who's the mastermind behind this Bees TV project.
Okay, we're here in the chapel on the halfway line of the pitch with Kellen Griffiths, who's going to talk through how BTV works. Hello, Kellen.
Morning, lovely to be here. So, come have a look, we'll go through how it works. So, to start with, we're going up. So I'll take the phone. So we've got a structure just on the halfway line. And then we'll go up the ladder. Over we go. So up there we've got the camera, so that panel folds down and then that'll look out to the pitch. So we've got a plug up here where it connects to, and then just an HDMI lead coming out and then down through the floor there. So back down we go. Okay, back to you, David. So over here, this is where Andy Day, who's our announcer, sits. So he's got his microphone here, mixing desk, where all the music's going to be. So his laptop plugs straight into here. And we go outside. These speakers are going to go from here all the way onto that pole there. It's exactly the same on the other side. So we'll have 2 speakers from the centre of the pitch, blasting the music out all the way to the other side. So then back onto the actual TV stuff. So this is where the magic happens. So here are our 2 commentator seats. So today we've got Steve Musson and Nick Irvine, and especially with Nick. Nick's probably the most famous voice of hockey in Europe, certainly at club level. If you've ever watched the Euro Hockey League, then you'll certainly recognise his voice straight away. So they'll put on these headsets here. They can hear each other and the match. They'll be sat on these seats, watching this monitor here, and looking out the window. So at the moment we've got our start screen, so obviously we're not live, and then we can send them messages along here and to here to let them know any information about the match. So then these headphones go into this mixing desk here, and then that just plugs into that laptop here, and then we just stream it online through this portable 4G hotspot here. And then this laptop here finally, so during the game, once we've got a replay, say of a goal or anything interesting during the match, we just use AirDrop on the Mac. We drop it straight from here to here, and then between myself and David, we'll edit the highlights during the game and put these on at half time. Now, under here, if I just take the phone off you again, under here is the most important bit. So it's just a mini recorder. So we just plug the camera's HDMI lead into there, and then a Thunderbolt lead just through and up into the laptop. So that costs about maybe £150. If I'm honest, we've gone a bit overboard with this. We wanted to actually have mixing desk commentators, but you don't need that. All you really need, if you're going to do this, is you need the laptop, a decent internet connection, a camera, and this box, and then actually putting it online and the Apple TV part, that part afterwards easy. So I hope you enjoyed a whistle-stop tour of everything that we do here at BTV, and we hope you enjoy the second half. Thank you.
When you succeed,
we succeed.
so we listen.
We tailor. And we invest in you.
We are innovators.
We deliver results.
And world-class service.
We are always developing.
Learning and growing.
And getting better at what we do.
Supporting your business.
We make technology effortless.
And more than just a means to an end.
We're the team who serve
And advise you.
all to help you achieve.
And surpass your goals.
We're super.
We're honest.
and go the extra mile. We're winners.
And team players. And together,
we're the managed service provider.
We're Air IT.
We're Air IT.
we're Air IT.
You're number one for IT and comms.
I've got the Harvest Pale Ale. They call it the finest blonde beer, so let's give it a try. It's got a nice clean flavour to it, I think. It's crisp and it's refreshing. And that certainly stands out for me.
Absolutely, it's very vibrant colour as well, and it tastes, like you said, quite crisp, and I can imagine drinking that on a nice summer's day, definitely.
I played at the highest level for Holland since I was 17. First you start as a talented little girl and just go and play, and now you really have to carry the team. A lot of the media, they always write things about you, but it's not important. I know what I can do, and the people that I really care about, they always believed in me. And I've always been a fighter. Even when you think you can't go anymore, you just keep on going because of your team. My position in the field is important, but without the others, I'm a no one. Speed is very important. There isn't room for error, actually. It's just me, opponents, and my teammates. You have to give it your all, no mercy. Every competition we play, you just want to win. When you step on the podium, it's just the best feeling in the world. It is hard to dare and dream about winning, but we know if we play well, we can beat anyone.
So we're approaching the start of this game, Beeston against Sevenoaks, the opening weekend of the Men's National Hockey League. And Beeston's team news and that of Sevenoaks coming your way very shortly. But a chance for me to introduce Steve Musson sitting alongside me. Steve, a long-time member of this Beeston club, and he and I have shared many touchlines over the years as I've followed Beeston's progress. What does this season hold in store, Steve?
Well, I think the start of the season is a key part for any club, really, and the opening fixture, of course, is always a cagey affair. Beeston will want to build on some of the strengths they had last year, particularly the limited goals against that we conceded. We're second lowest in the league, and the work that Stephen Wood does with our defensive unit is something that he'll want to make sure is strong this year as well. With a few changes, the starting squad today does include 12 of last year's side. We've got 4 new faces, 4 debuts for players this year who I think will fit in very well, have been playing very well in the pre-season. And I think the key areas from Beeston's point of view is how we progress from what will be, I believe, will be good build-up play to getting results. Short corner goals, shots on goal, and finishing moves that will probably be quite strong. So it's that finishing that's going to be key for Beeston this season, I think.
Beeston, an ambitious club, they always have been. Is it too much of an ambition to see them back in the Euro Hockey League?
It's definitely a plan. It's been that way 2 or 3 years since we came out of the EHL. It's difficult because the competition in our domestic league at the top end particularly is very strong. Surbiton, Wimbledon particularly strong, and Hampstead have strengthened up as well. But that's definitely ambition to try and find our way back through the playoffs into the EHL and go back where we had 5 or 6 very good seasons.
And a difficult season, no doubt, lying ahead with a variety of international calls. And just looking at the team sheet ahead of this game, I noticed that Mark Gleghorn's name doesn't appear today. Can you fill us in with why he's absent?
Yes, Mark's flicked so many short corners at hundreds of miles an hour that he's damaged his knee, and he's been recuperating for a couple of 3 months now. Still struggles with his knee, and he's getting very close to being able to play, but of course he wants to make sure that he doesn't do any more damage and cause himself an issue.
The strain on the penalty corner striker is something which I think we need a little bit more research on. Over the years I've seen many penalty corner flickers taped right to the gunnels. Taka Takamar was probably the most obvious case of that. He was almost mummified when he went out onto the pitch.
Yes.
And the strain that's going through the joints is enormous.
I think the load at the point of release is it's heavy G's, and it's going through a pretty weedy joint anyway in the first place. So unless players are extremely balanced in that particular role, sooner or later something will cause them a problem.
Well, we wish Ulsterman Mark Gleghorn the very best of luck. A very key member, of course, of England and Great Britain teams as well these days. Beeston coached by Stephen Wood and Mark Wadsley. How does that pair work out?
Very well indeed. Stephen Wood, head coach last year, and he's in his second season. Mark Wadsley and he work very closely together. Both got slightly different roles, but they certainly get on well, and their plotting and planning I've seen in the pre-season has been excellent. They're specialists in different ways. Stephen Wood, as you know, with his 384 odd consistent games playing for Beeston, is full of experience, and Mark Wadsley's been here for 8 or 9 years as well, so their background in Beeston and the Beeston ethos is very strong.
Familiar face out on the pitch. I didn't mean Buzz the Bee, although he's
getting familiar.
Well.
Yes.
Just in the top of your picture there, the anoraked figure of Graham Griffiths, the club chairman, also the first team manager here.
Yeah.
He just keeps going and going, doesn't he?
He does, and it's a never-ending process with Griffin. He's always got some kind of 3-year cunning plan, and something that the next thing on the agenda will be released shortly anyway. But he drives the club along, rules with the rod of iron. He's told me that of all the jobs I've done here, there's still the car park attendant available. So I've got to make sure I get this right, Nick.
Well, nothing would surprise me about Beeston, but let's not think for a minute that clubs like this just happen. They happen because good people give a lot of time to make them happen. And here we are again today with another Beeston innovation, a result of good strategic thinking, investment, of course.
Yes.
But also being brave enough to be different.
Yeah, I think that's right. It's a constant battle, really, to try to push the game in all directions, really, and we've done so much in the past with development of players and our progress into the EHL, and what we've tried to do with facilities speaks for itself, I think, here. But on top of that, trying to present it not just from Beeston's point of view, but from the hockey community's point of view as well, to make sure that there's a greater visibility and an opportunity for people to watch, even though they can't get to the ground.
Two captains we saw there in on the far side, tossing the coin before the start of this game. Chris Barker for Sevenoaks was joined there by Stephen Lawrence. And a mention also for our two umpires for this game, Nick Bennett and David Dowdall. Those two gentlemen good fortune not just today but throughout the season as well. Just as hockey clubs don't work like this without a lot of good people putting good work, no hockey can take place without our umpiring fraternity putting in their usual shift and then some. He remains in their debt. Glorious afternoon here, strong breeze, but the early morning rain that come up from North Oxfordshire, and it was teeming with rain this morning, but all that's gone away here now at least, and some fluffy white clouds overhead. And we'll be underway in about 7 minutes time. Boy, but he'll be perhaps relieved to see that Mark Gleghorn is missing from the Beeston lineup today. Chris Barker, the captain of Sevenoaks, and their goalkeeper Richard Potton, who's been around a bit. Very talented goalkeeper indoors and out. Steve, what sort of game do you think we're going to see today?
Well, I think that it's very interesting to look at the statistics of the two sides at the moment, because obviously Sevenoaks will be keen not to see a repeat of last season, where they found it very difficult in their first season in the Premier League. But each side, interestingly, has got 12 players from last season and 4 newcomers. So there's a bit of a comparison there. The newcomers generally are younger players, so there will be one of the battles out there today, I think, will be how youngsters playing Premier League hockey, probably for the first time, settle into it and fit in with the tempo and the intensity of it all. And then beyond that, a few other crucial battles, I think, really. We will look at with interest at what happens in the midfield with, for Beeston, as the substitutions happen, Adam Dixon and Robbie Gleeson, and of course for Sevenoaks, Duncan Parnis, their player coach, and Nick Barker, who used to be a Beeston player. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out.
Yes, the hugely experienced Adam Dixon not starting for Beeston. Does that surprise you?
No, he's got service time like everybody else, and Stephen Woods told him that as he hasn't been able to train very regularly, he can start on the bench.
It's a tough school then.
It is.
I must say I've watched Adam Dixon play for club and various clubs and country over the years. One of my favourite players.
Yes.
One of those WYSIWYG players. What you see is always what you get.
Yes, yeah, he's
honest,
very influential, and his work ethic is tremendous. Makes a big difference when he's around.
Just imagine if you're a youngster playing for Beeston to have the likes of Adam Dixon around, and Mark Leghorn too, for that matter, to learn from.
That's exactly what Henry Croft said to me before the game this morning. He's playing his first time. He's a 17-year-old, and he said, "I can't believe I'm playing with Adam Dixon."
No, well, there you go. So away we go. Sevenoaks in the largely white strip. We'll be attacking the Beeston goal away to our left-hand side at the car park end. Defending as they are, Sevenoaks, the tramway. Beeston quickly in, stealing the ball there. Space on that left-hand side. Good quick transferring the ball from Beeston. They want to keep the tempo high. They've always been a side that has enjoyed a fast tempo in their play. Must be part of the DNA of the club. Sideline ball for the Bees. Battle there, some 8 or 9 metres outside the Beeston circle, a little bit untidy.
Stephen Wood spends a lot of time with the players, teaching them and coaching them as to how to play out of these high press situations. So he'll be very keen to see them get that tidy early doors.
Good forward lead there by Beeston, taking up position right on the baseline, holding things up, waiting for support to arrive. Lawrence sprays it out to this right-hand side now. Clipped into the circle, but well read there by a Sevenoaks defender. Both sides wanting a whistle there, but only Sevenoaks will be pleased to see the umpire's left arm coming out, gives them a chance to clear from the top of their circle. Powerful run through the midfield and sprayed out to the left-hand side. Beeston going around the back. Sevenoaks have numbers back in the circle though. Taken very quickly. Nice quick hands there.
I think it's a bit of a feature of Sevenoaks, Nick. They'll try and play out through the middle, through the Barker boys. Two talented players and who are very good on the ball. So anything a bit loose from Beeston on the forward line will be quite easily picked off and moved forward at pace. So their counter-attack pace is pretty good.
Watchful stuff from Beeston, playing the ball around. Breaking into the Sevenoaks half of the field. You'll notice from our clock up on the scoreline graphic at the top there that we're counting up from 0, so don't think that you're tuned in late. We started at 0 and this first half will end at 35 minutes, there or thereabouts. Also, we can't rely 100% on the accuracy of our on-screen clock because it's not synchronised with the technical table. It'll give us a steer at least. Ball played to the right-hand side. The defender's foot, so Beeston will have a free hit here, wide on the right-hand side.
Solid defence from Sevenoaks so far. Pattern's a little bit like I thought it might be in terms of the progression by Beeston down the right-hand side, but Sevenoaks have been strong on the ball.
Certainly had a long journey up this morning. Were you surprised it didn't opt to stay overnight?
So I think sometimes, I mean, it doesn't always work out. You can pick either way and it'd be good or bad. I think the opening game of the season, they just decided that rather than get here on sort of the night before, they'd just have an easy journey up, and they were here in good time anyway.
Must be an early alarm call then, I would think.
I think so.
Sevenoaks is a fair old schlep. Not too bad if the motorways are behaving themselves,
yeah.
But that doesn't happen very often, does it?
It doesn't.
Patient stuff coming from Beeston. Just getting a feel for the ball on the end of their stick and feeling their way into the game.
One of the things that Stephen Wood experiments with is the difference in timing of transfer work. So sometimes in order to hold the ball and create shape, it will stay in the back four for longer periods of time. But then every now and then he'll do encourage them to do 2 or 3 probes down one side or the other.
Sevenoaks just trying to mount an attack of their own down the right-hand side there. Finding plenty of Beeston shirts back though defending. So a cagey beginning. Neither side have really created anything out of the ordinary. Both sides keen to make a positive start, but not necessarily an explosive one. A safety first element perhaps in some of the thinking.
I know that Duncan Parness has wanted to stress the Sevenoaks players that they are secure in defence. They had some pretty awful defeats last season, and they'll be keen to improve on that. And the one thing I've noticed about Sevenoaks, I'll just wait while this...
Good scrambling save by the goalkeeper. Tidied up at the top of the circle by Bammer as well. Yes, it's very hard to win games if you're loose in defence and conceding goals. It's a very tough game indeed.
But Sevenoaks' history seems to demonstrate that whatever happens to them, they stick tightly together as a unit and a group of players, and they learn. And we've seen that with the indoor. They've performed well in that.
Yes, one of the clubs that has taken indoor hockey seriously. It can't be said of all of the clubs, I have to say. Very much, I think, to their loss. And the indoor game in England has lost as well. But Sevenoaks and Beeston take it seriously. Marshall trying to pick a pass through there, but Sevenoaks were able to come away with it. Marshall's old club, Banbridge, had a good start to their EY League campaign yesterday in Ireland, beating 3 Rock Rovers. Excellent start for the Banbridge boys.
We took a pre-season team on you to 3 Rock Rovers for
Did
a
you?
tournament. Yeah, a very good few days.
Playing in the Euro Hockey League this year.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to seeing them. Also, one of the clubs in Ireland have embraced the idea of para hockey.
Yes.
And they've had great success with that. It's a big, heavy challenge and a penalty corner. No surprise there. Umpire blows the whistle and points firmly for the first penalty corner of the game.
I think one of Robbie Gleeson's strengths here is he's got a lot of pace, and he's taken a straight route to the top of the D there, and just encouraged that awful tackle.
All wrong, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No complaints, as you can see there from Sevenoaks. They knew what was coming down the line. So Sevenoaks preparing themselves behind the goal, pulling on the protective masks and the additional padded gloves. Now, what will Beeston have up their sleeves here, Steve, with no Mark Leghorn to turn to?
Well, they're going to make some use of Adam Dixon, I'm sure. I've just noticed that Richard Lawrence, who would also flick off one of the castles, not on the pitch at the moment. So, but they've got 1 or 2 moves as well, which they'll use. Just have a look at what the defence do.
Adam Dixon is the far castle, and it is Dixon who takes on the shot. And it's padded away there by Potten. And Dixon getting an opportunity there to show what he's capable of at the penalty corners.
I think keepers are getting so good on this on their bottom right post at making saves, and the lines of running cut off the other angles for all but the top flickers, I think, really.
Another penalty corner here. So pressure starting to mount on Sevenoaks. A little flurry of Beeston activity. A little unfortunate there. Edge, I think, onto the defender's foot. So penalty corner number 2. Ball played with a little power in it, looking for a deflection. Sevenoaks just needing a little time out here. Rid of that additional protective equipment. A goalkeeper's hand protector has come off as well. How long have the club known that Leghorn would not be available to him today?
He was trying very hard to get himself fit to play today, but I think there was no point taking any risk.
No, absolutely. Right.
From his
I'm
point
just trying
of view,
to work out how long they've had to rethink the corner routines.
Yes, they've had quite a little bit of time to do that. It's just personnel really in terms of who might take them, and Richard Lawrence has missed both of those because he wasn't on the pitch, but he's certainly somebody who they'll turn to.
I hope to, yeah. Sevenoaks having soaked up that little period of Beeston pressure, trying to take the game to the house here. Pretty much perfect conditions for playing today. playing in two halves in the national leagues in England this year again, rather than the 4 quarters. Are you a halves man or a quarters man, Steve?
Well, I think I've actually grown to like the quarters, to be honest, but at the moment that change has not happened here, so quite traditional in the way that we're doing it in the domestic league.
I'm surprised. I mean, I won't sit on the fence. I prefer halves. But I've got used to the quarters. I won't say I've come to love them, but I would certainly not say that. But I've come to accept them, and I can't see the logic of the English leagues continuing with the halves, because the direction of travel is certainly very much towards games in quarters.
I do sometimes worry that the movements in the game is towards shorter periods of time on the pitch, shorter phases of play, and in actual fact I think so many of these hockey players are great athletes really, and they can spend more time in action even though the game is very busy.
Yes, we could argue this one all day, couldn't we? But it does seem a strange thing that we've actually taken time out of the game.
Yes.
Although our athletes, and they are athletes, are fitter perhaps than they've ever been before, and the squads are incredibly strong.
Yes.
The other thing I would say is, at the end of the day, our champions and probably our runners-up, possibly even the third team in our English league, qualify for the Euro Hockey League, which is very definitely in quarters, and Beeston have taken the lead here. Early ball into the circle, and Sevenoaks didn't read it, and it's Lawrence on the end of it to sweep it home. Talk us through this one, Steve.
Yeah, he's done well to get on that, because the ball was in the air as it's gone into the D, but it's a really accurate finish from perfectly placed in the top corner. But I think that's sort of been coming a little bit with the 2 short corners for Beeston and some of the build-up play, and I think the possession. The key now is to make sure that they don't drop off this at all and keep the pressure on Sevenoaks.
So Beeston ahead. Very well taken goal indeed. And Sevenoaks will look at that and just wonder whether there's a little bit of ball watching perhaps in their defence. Allowed Lawrence to get on the ball, and he wasn't hanging about, was he?
He created that crucial metre off his marking defender, and that was enough for him to be able to angle the shot into the roof of the net.
Tall player, Richard Lawrence.
He is.
Good reach on him as well.
Richard took a lot of seasons to get into the first team, but he does score quite regularly. Corners and open play.
Well, that was a top draw finish, no doubt about that. Didn't give Richard Potton any opportunity to keep that one out. Umpire's getting plenty of advice from the Beeston support. None of it solicited.
Very important to hold on to those, to the ball as it's got forward like that. The turning it over at that point is a bit of a sin in my opinion. They should make sure that they get hold of it and keep good possession so that the team can move their units up behind.
Nice quick hands there. Beeston trying to keep the tempo high here. I think Sevenoaks will be more comfortable at a slightly slower pace. Oh, battle for the ball going on there. Trial of strength, and Beeston winning out again and firing the ball past the outstretched left foot of the goalkeeper Richard Potton and into the net. Beeston have a second.
It was all very tight in the D, but they've done well to actually create some open space, but the eventual shot was pretty quickly taken.
Goal scorer there, immediately surrounded by a group of players. Good quick hands, quick thinking, no backlift at all.
That was Nick Park that got that.
Took it well, took it very well.
So on his debut, scored a goal, he's pleased with that. having joined us from Surbiton. Sorry, Reading.
So 2 goals in quick succession. Put an unfavourable loss on the score card as far as Sevenoaks are concerned. They've done pretty well up until conceding the first goal. Free hit taken quickly by Sevenoaks. We really do need to settle now, see a bit more of the ball themselves. Haven't really put Simon Hedgewan's goal under any pressure. And again, surrendering the ball away cheaply. Shot off the wrong foot. Well, Beeston really fancying it now, I think. Slightly nervy beginning to the game for them. Didn't create too many clear opportunities, but now with their noses ahead, they look very much in the groove.
I think it was good to see one of our youngsters there being prepared to have a shot, even though he hit the side netting, but Sevenoaks
trying to get the right hand side going. As soon as Sevenoaks pick up possession, Beeston fall very deep with numbers, making it hard for the opponent. Wonder in the back of their minds will be thinking that yesterday their ladies team had a 2-goal lead. So he surrendered.
yes.
Although perhaps the Beeston ladies yesterday would have signed for a draw before the start of the game, it must have felt like a defeat in the end, conceding so late in the game.
I think that's right. And you lose sight of how important that point is in a game of that standard for Beeston in their first season.
Now Sevenoaks trying to create an opportunity of their own here in a very crowded circle. Just lost his way a little bit. David Dowdall with arms outstretched there signals a 16-yard hit out to the defence. About 15 minutes left in this first half here. Beeston on their way to a 3-point haul to start their new season in the English Premier League. How often do the team get together as a group to practice, Steve?
Tuesday nights, an hour and a half session, and probably a video session before that, and then Thursday night is a 2-hour session. And then Stephen Wood and Mark Wosley do bits and bobs with individuals depending on their timings, so that they can put in as much practice as possible under the circumstances. And of course we struggle with the international lads because being based down at Bisham.
It's a fair old schlep from there, isn't it?
Mm.
Get the ball, Mark.
Balance between club and country, always a delicate one for the clubs to manage.
It is. But the practice sessions that the club has are very well attended, very busy, and Stephen Wood's had a lot of opportunity to work with particularly the youngsters on team formation and roles.
Well, he'll be a proud man seeing the fruits of his labours with some of the youngsters coming through into first team hockey. And if you invest in the early years, then as the player matures, you have a payday ahead. That's a lovely play by Sevenoaks. Going through some fairly choppy water. The whistle's always going to go in their favour.
One of the things that the coach is prepared for was Sevenoaks play through the middle of the park, making sure there was always a supporting defender, and that the work rate back into midfield and certainly backwards from the forwards as well is strong, so that there's no time for them to build anything.
Beeston finding space again on this right hand side, resetting it. Now trying their luck on the left hand side. Hear the crispness of the passing.
I was just thinking the same, it's noisier than usual.
Well, as we both know, Steve, it's easy to receive a ball that's got some pace on it coming onto your stick rather than one that's bobbling along in front of you.
Yes.
That little passage of play eventually ends with a free hit to Beeston.
It's just that what
pace is inside the Sevenoaks half of the field.
Yes. Trying to get the transfer of the ball higher up the pitch and then through the midfield.
What's the umpire given here?
I think it's a corner. Yes, it's
corner,
right.
is it?
Foot. I think it was a foot in the D. There we go. Yeah, he's pulled that back onto the defender's foot.
Cleverly worked by the attacker. The defender knows what's coming, but precious little they can do about it. So another penalty corner for Beeston. So far it's not been the corners that have bought the goals though. Goals for Richard Lawrence and Nick Park come in open play.
I think Richard Lawrence has managed to get himself on the bench again.
Ball blown as being dangerous there, be a hit out to the Sevenoaks defence.
Sevenoaks have got an injury.
Getting rather painfully to his feet and making his way across the team bench there.
Was a little bit my concern, Nick, the short corners and how that would work, but if we're getting the open play goals, then so be it.
Sevenoaks just can't get hold of the ball, and on the rare occasion they do get possession, they're not able to hold it for any length of time. They find a number of bees swarming around them. Good early ball forward to the top of the Sevenoaks circle. Nice turn into the circle as well.
Chris Proctor again, working well on that baseline. Fairly pleased with the way that Beeston have moved the ball around today. It's been probably a little bit better than I thought it would be.
It's been crisp, it's been accurate, it's been purposeful. Not just holding the ball, changing the point of attack, stretching the defence. So each player goes down, looks at the umpire, but there's no whistle at a chance here. Fired rather straight at Potton in the end. Wide of the target.
He's a little bit better with that, I think.
See how tight the marking is.
It's moments like this when you've got a 2-0 lead, you miss a chance like that at the other end, and then all of a sudden the pattern changes a little bit. There's nothing that gives a team more momentum from this position than getting that next goal, and that can make life difficult. So they don't need to let their standards drop.
About 7 minutes or so to go before half time here. I would have thought that the Beeston duo of Stephen Wood and Mark Wadsley would be quite pleased, certainly with the scoreline and many of the aspects of the way their team have performed. I think less happy will be the Sevenoaks camp. We haven't really seen too much of them, certainly not in possession of the ball. Hard to see how they can change things around in a way that's going to hurt this Beeston team.
I think Beeston will know that if, as long as they can keep that defensive unit tight and the work rate high, they can control this. But complacency can be a bit of a problem, and I think that it's those little opportunities that they're going to crop up for Beeston that they're going to have to take at least another one of.
I think Sevenoaks just need to find a little bit of spark somewhere, something to give them a little more interest. A goal, of course, would be wonderful, but even a good flowing move and a near miss, testing the Beeston goalkeeper, something to work with. At the moment, it's pretty much one-way traffic. Pace around the outside again for Beeston.
You can hear Adam Dixon leading things.
It's great to see Adam still playing with as much enthusiasm for club hockey as he ever had, really.
He's been absolutely a great servant of the club. He's been involved for so many years now and came straight through the Colt system, and it's infectious to others as well. The fact that he's around, and he can't be around all the time for obvious reasons, but as often as he can, he's here.
Shot comes on the reverse stick side, that wasn't too far away. Rattling into the sideboards there. Nice little opportunity. Beeston going again, looking for a third here to kill off this Sevenoaks challenge completely. Ooh, bouncing around in there. Hopkins come off his line. The umpire blown his whistle.
They think that's a penalty.
Beeston looking for a penalty stroke. The umpire, I think, initially gave the penalty corner. He's going to talk to his colleague, I think, here, taking a timeout, which is always sensible.
That was Henry Croft there, Nick, on the ball, he's the young 17-year-old I was telling you about. Great talent, and the fact that he managed to move himself away from the tight area of space in the D to create space is what's led to the problem there, and I think that's really interesting to see a young forward do that. Often they will run towards the play and close things down. In that situation, he didn't.
Well, the umpires have consulted, and whatever David Dowdall has said to Nick Bennett, he's given Nick no reason to change his initial decision, which was a penalty corner. So Beeston, who thought they had a claim there for a penalty stroke, might have to content themselves with the penalty corner. I think by my reckoning, corner number 4.
Yes.
So far, they've not covered themselves in glory. But this would not be a bad time to put away their first penalty corner for goal number 3.
And Richard Lawrence is on this time, so we'll see what he can do.
I'm sure he'll be involved, and he has his tail up, of course, having scored already, albeit in open play. He knows the way to goal. Sevenoaks a little tardy getting ready for this one. Now they're set. Potton last to get behind the line. Oh, it's a good save from Potton. Going way to his right hand side. He must have had a good sight of that. Dropped down well. Good strong right hand and away it went. But a better routine for Beeston, Steve.
Yes, it was. There was more power in the flick from Richard Lawrence. I think that they're going to have to try and keep away from Potton's right post. He seems very comfortable there.
Break just throws one down towards the baseline. Sevenoaks alert to the danger there. Ali Taylor just eased off the ball. Taylor again surrounded by Beeston players, but that doesn't stop him taking them all on. And Dixon coming through. A very sharp haircut Adam Dixon's had. Let's get the name of his barber. I hate to walk in there by accident. Very sharp, Adam.
This is the part of the game where Mark Wadsley was saying he didn't want Beeston to take the foot off the gas at any point if they were trapped at sort of left back.
Ball drilled in to the Sevenoaks net, but from well outside the 16-yard shooting circle.
Period of pressure here that Beeston have to be very tidy and careful about.
Good to see some numbers over there on the Beeston bank, watching on, giving no doubt their expert opinion.
The other 500 or 600 would probably stayed at home to watch it on telly.
That's the concern, isn't it?
Yes.
I enjoy being involved in televised hockey. It's not quite like being there in person.
No.
Great hockey coming up, of course. The Euro Hockey League will be underway in
a
couple of weeks' time in Barcelona. If you're at a loose end, still tickets available for that one at the Pau Negre Stadium in Barcelona. See some really top quality hockey. And hopefully some top quality weather as well.
Yes.
David Adwell just having a little word here with the Beeston defender. Well, our match clock shows about half minute left in this first half, but I think it'll be a little more. Been a couple of stoppages in play. That's an early feed. Good work there. I think it was Gareth Griffiths.
Yes, it was. Yes. Yeah. He's improving all the time.
Well, we've reached half time here. Pretty much on our clock as it turned out, and Beeston have made a very good start to the game here. They lead by 2-0. Scorers for them. Richard Lawrence in the 15th minute with a field goal, and then a couple of minutes later, Nick Park also from a field goal. So we'll be back with some highlights for you after this ad break, and then of course all of the second half coming your way live. Join Steve and I back here at the Nottingham Hockey Centre after this.
When you succeed,
We succeed.
so we listen.
We tailor. And we invest in you.
We are innovators.
We deliver results.
And world-class service.
We are always developing.
Learning and growing.
And getting better at what we do.
Supporting your business.
We make technology effortless
And more than just a means to an end.
We're the team who serve
and advise you.
All to help you achieve.
And surpass your goals.
We're super.
We're honest.
and go the extra mile. We're winners.
And team players. And together,
We're the managed service provider.
We're Air IT.
We're Air IT.
we're Air IT.
You're number one for IT and comms.
I've got the Harvest Pale Ale. They call it the finest blonde beer, so let's give it a try. It's got a nice clean flavour to it, I think. It's crisp and it's refreshing. And that certainly stands out for me.
Absolutely, it's very vibrant colour as well, and it tastes, like you said, quite crisp, and I can imagine drinking that on a nice summer's day, definitely.
I played at the highest level for Holland since I was 17. First you start as a talented little girl and just go and play, and now you really have to carry the team. A lot of the media, they always write things about you, but it's not important. I know what I can do, and the people that I really care about, they always believed in me. And I've always been a fighter. Even when you think you can't go anymore, you just keep on going because of your team. My position in the field is important, but without the others, I'm no one. Speed is very important. There isn't room for error, actually. It's just me, opponents, and my teammates. You have to give it your all, no mercy. Every competition we play, you just want to win. When you step on the podium, it's just the best feeling in the world. It is hard to dare and dream about winning, but we know if we play well, we can beat anyone.
Backed on this game at all. Steve, do you think the Beeston coaches will be pleased with that first half?
I think they will. I think they'll be pleased with the amount of possession and the pace of the transfer work that they did, and the fact they've scored 2 open play goals. It won't be so pleased with the short corners, as you say.
No, and I'm sure they'll be looking to add goals to that tally in the second half. And what we saw certainly in the first 35 minutes, every prospect of more goals to come. But for those Sevenoaks supporters and the neutrals, let's also hope that Sevenoaks can up their interest in the game and test this Beeston defence. Simon Hudgwan in the Beeston net, a virtual spectator in that first 35 minutes. Beeston straight back on the attack.
Penalty corner.
And a very early penalty corner indeed here. So it doesn't bode well for Sevenoaks, just a little sloppy there out of the blocks in the second half. Watch the build up for the corner again. Good early transfer, wide open spaces on the left hand side. There's Craig Morton, I think, putting the challenge in there. Adam Dixon with the number 14 shirt. Looks like let's see.
Gone to a single Castle.
Just peeling off. Might be a slip here through the legs. No real pace on it. Easy save there from Potton. Big right foot. And not just saved but cleared as well. Again, turnover too cheap there for Sevenoaks. Well, Steve was telling us about the porosity of the Sevenoaks defence last season. Over 80 goals conceded. And we do need to tighten up in that department.
Very much a baptism of fire for them into the Premier League last year.
Well, last year you can say was a baptism of fire and a learning curve, but you not just having lessons, it's learning them, isn't it?
It is.
And being able to do anything about it as well, of course.
Well, chatting to a couple of the Sevenoaks players, it's certainly something they've been very conscious of and they've worked on a lot. There seems to be some similar traits from last season at the moment, but there's still plenty of time for them if they get a bit of play.
Yeah, I was thinking a goal for them could change the whole complexion of this game. Just ask a few questions of the Beeston defence. They're not being asked at the moment. Taken quickly by Bamra. Bamra has had a pretty busy time of things. We've seen him in deep defence, but also making some inroads for Sevenoaks down that left-hand side. Hard to believe that Olympic gold medal for the Great Britain men is 30 years ago. So
I know, it is incredible.
But that was really the start of everything. It coincided with the launch of the Pound Structure National League. Pound Structure, by the way, was the leisure wing of British Airways.
That's right.
Not a pound shop, as some might assume. And the corner again to Beeston. Another defender's foot is unguarded. And with perfect timing, British Airways having announced their sponsorship of the league, found themselves sponsoring a sport that contained Olympic gold medalists and put on a wonderful reception when the team came back into London Heathrow. But as was the way in those days, many of the players could hardly hang around at the airport because they've got to get back to their offices
jobs,
and their schools and their hospitals. And all but Sean Curley were... Sean was between jobs at the time and was able to use the media opportunities that came his way. But the rest had some time to catch up on back at work. How times have changed. Corner here for Beeston, their second of this second half.
Richard Potton's not struggling with these at all, is he?
No, he's not, but he's a very good goalkeeper.
He is.
Underrated, I think, in some
I agree.
Yeah. I've watched Richard over many years, indoors and out, and he's very talented. So many good goalkeepers around in the men's and the women's games these days. heard this week, of course, that Maddie Hinch is taking a little bit of a sabbatical from international hockey, continuing to play a club hockey here in the Netherlands with Stixer, which will give an opportunity for somebody to step up. Hinch still plans to be back for the Olympics.
To have a little bit more of a settled season for her, where she's not got so much travelling.
Exactly. I think I was saying yesterday in our commentary game that the old air miles will be going down again this week.
Yes. Now this is a phase of play for Beeston that's troubled me for seasons. On top of the game, in control of the game, can't put it to bed, but they are having the opportunity to do that through a number of corners, open play as well, and it's an ingredient that's missing.
Well, it's not. Don't think for a minute it's just Beeston or just hockey. I can think of a few soccer managers as well who tear their hair out with having dominated the game, but never quite putting it to bed. That's beautifully done.
Space.
This is better for Sevenoaks. Chance here, pull across. Well, that was a really good opportunity. I'm not sure how he didn't put that one away.
Just slightly out of reach as he dived. Two of them dived. But this is the risk that Beeston face at the moment, because they're not really consolidating that lead.
Well, maybe they'll take that let off as a wake-up call, because a little sluggish there in defence, and that was the closest that Sevenoaks have been to a goal by some distance.
Little turnovers and feet, just giving possession to Sevenoaks, encouraging them.
Well, that's the word, isn't it, Steve? It's giving them encouragement. Makes them think that perhaps there is something in this game for them today. Beeston had the early pressure in the second half, and the third goal would probably be enough to kill off this travelling Sevenoaks team. Sevenoaks enjoying perhaps their best period to date.
These sort of phases of play and these patches of difficulty for teams, there's a good example. It does interest me how often they crop up in matches, and it takes experience and organisation to tidy this up.
Yes, I think it's easy to tidy it up from on the field and off it as
Definitely.
well. As much as coaches and managers might think otherwise. It needs the senior pros to set the standards and to dictate. Oh, Beeston starting again from the back. Bright sunshine streaming into our commentary box here. Really is a glorious afternoon.
Another turnover, another unnecessary turnover, really. I think if you're going to use the aerial ball, it needs to be a proper connection as part of your build-up play, rather than just thrown into a general zone. And they'd be far better keeping the possession strong.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think too often we see the aerial being used just because, almost as if they're playing by numbers, they feel it's time for the aerial. As with all skills, it has a place.
Important that I think that was Robbie Gleeson in there. Needs to stay strong on the ball. It's fed into the midfield like that, and it's kept Beeston in possession.
Sevenoaks taking it quickly, feeding the ball down that left-hand side.
Sevenoaks seem to be having better look down the left-hand side than the right.
They do, they do. Kamak Bamra looks lively out there. Always wants the ball. Nice chuck
better.
over the top. Two Sevenoaks defenders barring the way to goal. Well recycled here though by Beeston.
This is where you want the transfer work to occur, much higher up the pitch.
Who do you see the strong sides in the National League this season? Where do you think the contenders are? Who do you think the contenders are going to be?
Well, I think to some extent it's the usual suspects. I was looking at the results from yesterday with Surbiton getting off to a good start against Wimbledon. But Wimbledon, of course, have got a lot of good players in their side, and I would expect to see them at the top. But the side that's turned things around quite a bit, Hampstead and Westminster, since Quan Brown joined. And Beeston, old former player Harry Martin's there, and they've got some very good players, and they've just become a very difficult side to play against.
Beeston trying to make some space in the circle. That's a beautiful turn, spin and shot, and Beeston have a third goal here.
Gareth Griffiths,
the goal scorer. Well, that was lovely control. Let's enjoy it again, Steve.
He's turned very well there, and he's hit that beautifully to find that bottom corner. And this is the gradual progression that we're seeing in Gareth, season by season. Well, he's not very old. He's improving, and his strength is coming, and he's starting to be very, very accurate.
Well, that was a cracker.
A bit like his brother David a few years ago, with his 148 goals for the club.
David, I should explain, is sitting about 10 feet away from Steve and I, getting slightly red in the face. So that's, Sevenoaks trying to get one of their own, and Simon Hudgwon equally keen to make sure that the clean sheet remains intact.
Simon Hudgwon was very important to Beeston last year. To concede the second lowest number of goals was a lot to do with his concentration and focus. Often play games long periods of time not involved, and then called into action as he was there, and he's got to get that right, and he does it very well.
And that's not easy for a goalkeeper, not easy at all. Potland coming sliding out, but didn't need to play at the ball. It was just there as a safety net, really. Well, just over 20 minutes to go. I think Sevenoaks now would probably have to accept the points are beyond them, but it's the quality of the last 20 minutes and the experience they get here to take into their next league game. It's going to matter. Important they don't let those heads drop and concede another bucket full of goals to a Beeston side that once again just starting to raise their level of interest. The pace around the outside all the way to the goal line. Corner.
I think the Beeston coaches will be pleased with the way that the young lads have integrated. Henry Croft, Nick Park, obviously Gareth, who's been here a few years, Gareth Griffiths.
Well, the good thing about it is they haven't stood out as the youngsters, have they? They've looked a cohesive unit.
Yes.
They've looked as if they deserve to be on the park, and they've been given the pitch time.
Which is where Adam Dixon was a few years ago, coming and turning out as a 16-year-old for the first team.
You're not that old, Steve, are you? Well, it's lovely to see. And those of you that know me know that I'm a clubman through and through, and for me it's always been great to see international players of the quality of Adam Dixon pulling the club shirt on in domestic leagues or Euro Hockey League action, and showing that club hockey still means plenty to them. David Darrell's gone for the penalty corner here. Hardly surprising.
James Albury felled.
James Albury showing some gymnastic moves there. It's a long distance penalty corner here. Anything deliberate within the 23-metre zone is entitled to be bumped up to a penalty corner.
It's one of the pluses of running in such a positive way, although he did have a pass that he could have made. But nevertheless, that's that sort of commitment, a bit like Robbie Gleeson in the first half, driving towards the top of the D and getting a shot away. I think it's that positivity that makes the difference sometimes, particularly in that last third.
Well, from a defensive point of view, there's nothing more concerning than seeing a forward in control of the ball, bearing down on you at pace and with confidence. Out it comes. Beeston still can't buy a corner at the moment. Perhaps the only negative in the game so far.
I think that's right. I think that's an area that's when you've got certainly when you've got somebody like Mark Gleghorn sat on the side injured, that's unfortunate. But also the young lad Elliot Hybel, who's been getting better and better, and he's very good on short corner flicking as well. But he broke his thumb, and he's got another 2-3 weeks before he's back playing.
Yes, that's not very nice at all. Broken thumb, very painful injury.
I understand he was running on at a corner, so defensive.
Oh, okay. What sort of medical support is the club able to offer its players?
Well, we've worked for a number of years with different organisations around the city that help us out. We've had good physio back up for a couple of years. Struggled a little bit this year, but they try to make sure that's covered all of the time, one way or the other. We've got a doctor with us quite a lot of the time in Martin Keeling, of course you commentated with yesterday.
Yes, I felt in good medical hands.
But it's interesting really, because the need for hockey players to have the right medical care is important, but also a lot of it is the training prep that they go through, and how that's geared for them, and what sort of physical work they do.
Sevenoaks using the right hand side. Beeston alert to danger zone. Just quicker to the ball pretty much in every department at the moment, Beeston.
Nice first time layoff. Chris Proctor on the ball.
Now running with his stick in one hand, getting his feet round the ball. Beautiful ball.
That surprises me a little how that's not read by Lucas on the far side. I think that was a pretty obvious line of passing. He needed to push harder into the D there, I think. Would have been a lovely connection if he'd gone a bit harder.
He'd probably tell you he was going as hard as he could.
Yes, he might.
Legs wouldn't carry him quite.
When the club was coached by Zach Jones a few years ago, he would have said, "I don't care, you can go harder." He was a bit of a taskmaster as a coach.
He still is. Oh,
that is a very, very good goal.
Crackerjack of a goal there. I don't know how much Richard Potton saw of that, but that's an absolute shell. And Beeston have a fourth.
Gareth again. Very, very good strike.
Man of the moment, putting down a marker, perhaps a man of the match as well.
That really is very accurate finish, that, Nick.
Well, that's two very fine goals indeed for Gareth Griffiths, putting a complexion on the scoreline is probably a reasonable reflection of what we've seen. And this could be a long final 15 minutes here for Sevenoaks, having conceded 4 already. Looking a little leggy in some departments. Not in this one though. That's a good positive break forward. Free hit
It's still sometimes difficult to tie down the individual running with the ball, isn't it? There's 3 or 4 guys had a go at him there and missed.
Difference of opinion there between players and umpire, but as ever, it's the umpire's rule that counts. And Beeston on the attack again. Tottenham's come a long way.
Palmed away.
Bats it away. Get back between the posts again now, which he has done, of course. Positive running again, though, from Sevenoaks here.
Stephen Lawrence been hit on the head, I think.
He's certainly gone to ground.
Oh no, it's Ollie Willars actually.
Well, he's got plenty of hair up there. Should protect him. Very powerfully built athlete, Ollie Willars. He was here yesterday watching the women's game. And Martin, who you mentioned a moment ago, was telling us how he first spotted Ollie playing with his father down here as a young boy, and his father was sticking his hand for the first time and said to get him along to Beeston.
Yes.
And my goodness, that's paid off. Very good player indeed now.
I remember working with Ollie on Tuesday nights during the summer, just on his hitting. We used to put cones out and getting him to hit the ball through gates over different distances. Obviously some of it clicked.
Indeed. Very satisfying, isn't it, when you see it clicking quite so well?
Yes.
There's nothing quite like teaching and coaching to give you rewards when you see the fruits of your labour. I still don't think we spend enough time on the basic skills of the game.
I agree.
It can be laborious, and at times, if you allow it to become so rather boring for the youngsters, but you've got to do it. It's a bit like dressage and equestrian things. First of all, you've got to have control of the horse, but in hockey you need to have control of the ball.
You do.
And your stick.
And in match play it's frustrating for players if they can't easily control the hockey ball, so the more practice they do, the easier it gets. A bit too high from Joe Sharp.
As I keep telling people, Steve, we used to play on grass, and nowadays they're playing on this fabulous, absolutely fabulous playing surface. In the old days the pitches were more of an opponent than your opponent.
Well, when I joined this club, Nick, there was a grass pitch that actually had a tree on one corner of the pitch and the white lines went round it. So I certainly didn't join for the facilities.
Happy days. Well, but isn't it wonderful to see how the facilities have come on though here?
Yes.
Here we are sitting in their new media centre, the chapel as it's been dubbed.
Yeah.
Quite right, we should be at chapel on a Sunday.
Yeah. Second time today, isn't it?
Second time, having been at the christening of Teddy George Irvin, my grandson, earlier on this morning. It's the driest christening I've ever been at.
Was it?
Had to leave straight away. The thumbs up to the vicar and I was out of the door.
I think Beeston should be looking at a bit more quality in their build-up play now. Something that I'm sure Stephen Wood's talking to them about, and Mark Wasley from the side. This is a good opportunity to maybe pick another few goals.
Well, about 10 minutes to go. Beeston in control of the situation. Not putting up any trees, not even that tree you were mentioning, Steve, at the moment. Just going
That's long gone.
Going through the motions a bit, but I'm sure the coaching pair of Stephen Wood and Mark Wadsley will be delighted with this opening salvo in the new season of the National League, particularly playing as they are without Mark Gleghorn.
From Sevenoaks' point of view as well, it's interesting there. Obviously, Duncan Parnis is in his 5th year there now, and still as the player coach. And I wonder how difficult that might be for him.
Very, I think. I think it's a really tough ask of Duncan. Little bit of a schoolboy error there, deep in the Beeston circle, presents Sevenoaks through the penalty corner. And perhaps a chance for them to open their account.
It's the first time they've not managed to dance their feet out of the way in the D, and it's a bit reflective of where they've got to in the match. But I just think that quality needs to be worked on for the next 10 minutes.
You've got to keep that footwork nimble. Sam Hudgman just having a word with the defenders about what he expects of them and how they're going to guard the goal as a unit. Not the tallest of goalkeepers, Simon Hudgman, but he has to get his ankles spot on, just like that. Getting across there with a big left hand, long corner, taken quickly. Keepy uppy there from Beeston, not blown, it wasn't in any way dangerous.
Simon Hudgwan is meticulous in his preparation, almost to the point of annoyance.
Really?
He's very particular about how he gets ready for games, and hence his focus.
Well, we're an awkward breed, us goalkeepers. But, they do fall into 2 categories. They're either, as you say, completely obsessed with it and doing things in order, or they're a little more, how should we say, haphazard.
Yes.
I was in the haphazard. Beeston now will be setting themselves a little target, perhaps to make sure they don't give Sevenoaks anything from this game and start their season with a clean sheet. Well, that's a great shot and a fine save. Follow-ups there, Potton's scrambling defence there, just about doing enough. Well, they've given Richard Potton's goal a real peppering this afternoon. 4 have gone in, but had it not been for Potton, the score could have been many, many more.
I think he's done particularly well on the corners. The couple of longer shots that have gone against him, I think he's saved very well. But the finishes by Gareth Griffiths, and to be fair by Richard Lawrence in the first and the opening goal, just been very good.
They have been good. Yeah, full marks for the finishing today from Beeston in open play. Could do better would be the teacher's report, I think, on the penalty corners.
Yes.
But we know the reasons for that. No doubt that the squad will be working. Tuesday night?
Tuesday night, yes, I'll be back to it.
Can't make it, I'm afraid. But, practice does indeed make perfect, although it's very hard to replicate in practice the pressure situations. Not that Beeston have been under a huge amount of pressure today, but arc into the penalty corner strikers are goals that really count in their book. It's the goals that win games or change games.
Yes, yeah. I'm definitely a believer in the regularity of match play, playing regularly, and good standard stuff is there's no substitute for that really. Like you say, it's hard to replicate on the training pitch.
Whistle blows in favour of the defence. Some dangerous play there. Chris Barker just having a word with the umpire. Rather towering over the umpire there.
I don't think he's happy with Henry Croft's shot, but I can't fault him for trying to hit that as he did.
Anyway, a frank exchange of views has been conducted, and perhaps will be continued in the bar afterwards, which is always the best time to talk to the umpires.
I did explain to Dave Dowdall that he'd got probably 5 cameras on him today for the first time, so...
That's why he's done his hair especially. Up and over. It's a huge aerial. Good strong running as well late in the game. Testimony to the pre-season fitness work Beeston have put in.
Decent efforts there, but unfortunately didn't quite come off.
Camera there again. Oh, it's lovely control.
Skillful, very skillful.
Oh, beautiful. But penalised. No justice.
James Albury expecting a bit more than that from that than he deserved, I think.
So just a handful of minutes left in this one.
I'm quite pleased with Beeston's work rate today. I think that's been good. It's a tick in the box for that.
Yes, they've stuck at it. There's been a couple of quieter patches, and you've alluded to them.
Yes.
But pretty much they've used the whole park, played the ball around well, got some confidence in their game, bedded in these youngsters that again we've spoken about. And they've reduced Sevenoaks to something of a bit part performance here. Only seen them in rare flashes as an attacking force. I'll be hoping for better to come.
It's that hunting there by players that I think is so difficult for the defensive sides the defending side to deal with. But they've got it back again.
Well, that's given us a long corner out on this near side, coming off the frame of the goal, I think there.
I think it is.
I'm sure Simon Hudgman knew a huge amount about that.
Oh, it is a decent goal, yeah.
Have a little lift over the player's stick, but possession back with Sevenoaks. To their credit, they're still giving it a go here.
They are.
The goal would make that long journey home tonight a little more comfortable and easier to bear.
Yeah, they've had a little bit of luck with this player running with the ball on occasions and getting through, but I think you need more than that to create goal-scoring opportunities.
Well, they'll have easier games. I mean, when they looked at the fixtures for the season, away to Beeston first up, there are plenty easier fixtures than that.
Yes.
For a side that struggled pretty much consistently last season. Beeston getting closer and closer to the clean sheet.
And of course, as we said earlier, Nick, some of the other fixtures, Surbiton's, Wimbledon's, Hampstead's, very tough. They're tough for Beeston. That's going to be very tough for Sevenoaks.
This week's Riley Goldmaker Player of the Match goes to Gareth Griffiths.
So So you might have just picked up on the PA there. The Riley Wealth Management Player of the Match goes to Gareth Griffiths, not just for his 2 goals, both of which were of very good quality indeed, but also his general play in the game. That'll be a popular choice, and that is the final whistle sounding the distance there. And Beeston have got their new season of the English Hockey League underway with a convincing home victory over Sevenoaks. They have beaten Sevenoaks by 4 goals to 0, with goals from Richard Lawrence and Nick Park, both in open play in the first half. And then the second half belonged really to Gareth Griffiths, 2 excellent goals from him. Steve, your final thoughts on that?
I think the coaching staff will be relatively pleased with that. They'll be disappointed with the corner tally, as we've spoken about before, but then that's cropped up in pre-season. But I was particularly pleased with the work rate of the players, and some of the counter-attack play I thought was good as well, but I can't fault the finishing today. I think that's the highlight of it for me.
Well, thank you for your company for this one, Steve, and of course you good people watching at home as well. We'll continue to bring you Beeston's home games for the women and the men through the season. Before we bring you the highlights of the game, we'll be playing the still rocking, still rolling film made here at the Beeston Club. So enjoy that, and we'll enjoy your company next time back here on BTV. Goodbye from Steve and from me, Nick Irvin, for now.
Away at East Beeston, they will have men and women in action next Saturday. Saturday, 29.